good to say.
Yeah, it does.
I don't sound like Travis or you know.
No, you do not.
But it feels good to say.
Yo, the best thing is that we are different. I embrace diversity. It's all right. We ain't all got to be the same. That's boring if you ask me.
Maybe I gotta, put a little more bass in my voice to sound a little better.
Whoa. So you could just pull that Barry White out.
Yeah, a tiny bit.
Okay.
Sometimes I don't got a good singing voice though. But this is Jamal Jerry. Welcome to the Fans View on KAZI 88.7.
I'm telling you, man. you don't end up on this sports show by accident. If you're in your car and you got one of those dials, the old school dial, you turned it all the way to the left. Or if you're digital, welcome to this century, and you just press that button, you went all the way to the bottom. You was like, how low can I go? But you here now.
Absolutely.
With us.
Indeed.
Double J,
yep,
2025.
Indeed.
Has it been up to this point what you expected when it comes to sports and our entertainment?
You know what? Some things have been shocking, but otherwise, it's just another day in the office for a lot of these sports out there. So
I like that. For me, I would say I am very entertained. We're gonna get to some topics a little bit later, but so I definitely think that there's some good entertainment going on. We're in a good place. We have a professional volleyball team that we all heard about is finally here in Austin, so that's another thing I was excited about. And spoiler alert, one of those players is gonna jump on with us a little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah. So kind of excited about all the opportunities we have today. So that's one. And then we got the NFC and the AFC championships going down this weekend, Sunday.
We do.
I just want to know, where will you be watching these at?
Home.
Okay. Who will be with you?
Probably my dad and I. Possibly my grandma as well.
What beverages and fare will be in front of you or around you?
Let's go with water.
Okay.
And I don't know which food items we're gonna pick yet, but
it's been a while, but my wife makes an amazing set of nachos.
Okay.
And so I think for the first game, I'm gonna get the nachos out, and then by the last game, they'll be gone. Because sometimes when she makes these nachos, I had to learn that we don't do it on a prime time, like a work week, a school night, because I don't have enough time. I need time to take care of this gargantuan nacho explosion that she gives me. So that's what I'm gonna do. And for my drink, I'm gonna do a little Mountain Dew, little Baja Blast.
Baja Blast
is what I go with. The cans. So I think I will hydrate too.
Question for you. So on the Super Bowls, do you do Baja Blast Mountain Dew with Doritos just for the purpose of the Super Bowl commercials?
What are you saying? I'm a lemming? Are you saying that I am highly influenced by those commercials? Because that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And yes, I am. Don't put me in that commercial with Matthew McConaughey saying, "Oh yeah, it's the food is," because I'll be like, "Brother, I'm already there." End of commercial. You ain't got to convince me at all. Jerry Rice can come up. That doesn't matter.
Leon Sandcastle, Jerry Rice Cake. You remember that commercial?
Yeah. Was a great one. It don't matter to me. I want to ask you one other little thing here when it comes to what you're going to do. Do you cut your phone off? Do you look at your phone while you're watching football, like on commercial breaks, or do you lock in and watch? Because I was wondering if this is generational. What do y'all do? Your generation.
Well, I'm in my fantasy football group chat, and so far during every single playoff game, really during the regular season too, depending on who our favorite team is, we always are texting in there constantly. And especially now it's playoffs time, and we can all lock in and focus on each game.
Right.
We definitely we're texting throughout the whole entire time. So my phone is definitely going to be in my hand.
Travis, I'm going to say you don't take distractions, right?
I try not to.
I agree.
There are times when I will, but I go back to we're actually it's hard to think about like 10 years ago is even a different era
Yes.
watching games than today is, right? Because
Yes.
of streaming technology and everything that goes on. But I'm one that I've for the last 20 years or so in a couple of different houses I've been in, I've always got a patio TV, right? So
Oh, yeah.
I'm on my patio watching games.
Yeah.
And back when TiVo was the big thing,
Yes.
that led us to DVR, which leads us to now every streaming technology has their own recording system or whatever. TiVo was the thing back then, and then they introduced being able to go flip back and forth between two different games.
Yes.
And it would pause one game, and then you go back. So I was always watching games from behind,
Yeah.
right? And so what I also had to do was come up with something that would cover the scroll at the bottom of the game.
Yep.
So I came up with this genius invention of a piece of spare plywood I had around the house.
Yeah.
I would lean it against the front of the TV at the very bottom, so that it would hide the scroll, so that it didn't spoil what was
done.
going on in a different game. Because in one game, I might be 15 or 20 minutes behind
Yes, sir.
another game.
Yes, sir.
And I don't want then if I flip back to that other game, I don't want to know what's so.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I like it. I wish I would have thought of something like that. Yeah, the scroll in those TiVo days, the scroll has ruined many things. Yeah. Just to think of that, I could have saved myself a lot of tightly clenched fists.
From the TV executive standpoint, the scroll at the bottom of the screen was genius idea.
Yes.
But for those of us who multitask when we're watching sports, it was a curse
Yes.
for a long time.
Yes. Yeah. I'm okay, so Travis, just to find out where you are with this, what beverages will be around you and what fare will be around you this Sunday?
Okay, this Sunday, man, that's a good question. So from a food standpoint, I go a couple of different ways. Either I smoke ribs, or and sometimes I do both. But I also do like a queso dip. Turkey sausage. Rotel. Not actually. I don't use Rotel. I use from HEB Julio's salsa. I put Julio's salsa in there and Velveeta, and put that in a crock pot. Let it heat up, and that's my salsa. I mean, that's my queso that I make.
The secret ingredient.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and but those are my two go-tos, if you will. I never turn down wings in football.
You can never turn down.
And so in a pinch, I'll just go get wings somewhere.
Where do you go? Any place in particular that you like your go-to? Because I'm starting to find out some. I'm thinking of some chains, and I talk to some people and they're like, no, I do not. No, I don't want them.
So right now I probably don't have a favorite. I take that back. So Pluckers is always a good choice for me. It's a very solid choice.
Yeah.
Up in Round Rock is Anchor Bar. Ever been to Anchor Bar? So Anchor Bar their original locations in Buffalo, New York. They claim that is where the buffalo wing originated, was at their original Buffalo location. They don't. I guess you'd call it a chain or a franchise now, but it's still very limited locations. There's one in San Antonio.
Yeah.
There's one in Round Rock. So, but there's only like 8 or 9 of them, right? So but they're not just in Buffalo, New York anymore. Is the point?
Yeah.
They've got a very, very solid wing. It's good flavors. It's consistent. So I go there. Or Wingstop. Wingstop is, I have found, in my opinion, that whichever Wingstop I go to, it's consistent everywhere I go.
Yes.
And so from a chain standpoint, that's all you can ask, right? Is that I just want to know what I'm getting when I get there. And so
Yeah. We got a bunch of topics.
We do.
Asia O'Neal is going to be on with us today.
Okay.
Via Zoom. We would love to have her live in studio. I wore cologne today. But no, I knew it was going to be on Zoom. We knew. But so we're looking forward to that. Before we get into, there's something that I got to know. It just happened not too long ago, and I got to hear from you guys. Djokovic booed after retiring injured in the semifinals at the Australian Open semifinal. And so that means Alexander Zverev, this afternoon, this all went down. Guys, could you ever, that's like the worst thing anyone in attendance could ever do, right?
So, of course, Joker's a weird one, right?
He
because Joker, the last 5 years, if you go pre-COVID, I don't know if there's anybody. I mean, 5 years ago, I think Federer was still playing back then.
Yeah.
And so Roger Federer was immensely popular. But Joker was the character of the group. He's the one that actually had some life to him. Was in interviews, was willing to be a little bit. So he was kind of the tennis and golf, man. I mean, what are you supposed to do? I mean, there's not a lot of room for character in these sports. But he was one. The whole anti-vax and the whole lying about getting, the Australian Open and Joker have a weird history anyway, because aren't they the ones that put him in quarantine for like 30 days because he lied to them about whether he took the vaccine or didn't? And so it's kind of a weird situation. I think the people of Australia kind of just turned on Joker. And so I don't think they necessarily, I think they're tired of his act.
Okay.
I think that's what it is.
All right. Okay. It's a land down under. They're a little different over there. It's like the polar opposite. When it's our winter, it's their summer. So they do it a little different. And to your point, I just got to understand.
I was watching last night when that went down, and he in the middle of the first set had the doctors come over or the trainer come over and take a look at his leg. But then he finished out, and he loses 7-6 in break points, and then retires. And so from a standpoint of, man, you were able to gut it out and try to win the first set.
Yeah.
Then you didn't win it. Then you decide, okay, well, if I lost the first set, I'm not coming back and winning three sets after this. So I'm just gonna call it quits. So I have no doubt that he's hurt. But if you were hurt in the middle of the first set, could you have retired? If he'd have won that set in tie breaks, would he have kept going? That's the question, right? Because that's what, if as a fan, I'm like, so did you just retire because you lost?
Yeah.
Because if you were up one set, would you have thought, okay, maybe I can win 2 more sets on this bad leg? That's the question. And I think that's what the fans are probably saying is, come on, man. Really? You lose, so now you quit? If you'd have won, that's why I just say I think they're just tired of his act. I think, and I'm not saying Joker's going to, but he's clearly close to retirement.
Yes.
Maybe this is, Federer's out, Nadal, now Joker.
Yeah.
I mean, that era is about done.
It's on. We're on to Alcaraz.
Oh yeah.
It's now his era.
That's right.
Okay. I just got curious.
Maybe
you guys.
Maybe it's Ben Shelton's era.
Oh, hey, American tennis. We're on the rise. I'm liking where we are. I just wondered, because I'd never done it. I could never do it. Even nowadays. Yesterday I was playing pickup ball. I was hot. I couldn't miss. But then we still lost. And when I sat down and there were so many guys waiting, I left. And a bunch of guys, not even my teammates, were like, "Why, hey man, you got to keep shooting." But a lot of guys were like, "Why are you leaving? You were so hot today." I was like, man, by the time I sit down, this knee tightens up. I'm good. And that's why I tapped out. So I normally try to ball for an hour. That was 35 minutes. I'm good. And I'm out. So I thought it's kind of the same thing. I personalized it. Is why I'm a little hesitant to boo. and why I'm in a
Sure,
rush to
sure.
understand
Yeah.
that sometimes you know that you've got a little something, and even though my shot was hot, I was limping into the gym. I just thought I was happy to be playing after the break, but I can't say I really wanted to push it any longer. So I was just looking for a reason.
Sure.
That's the way I saw it.
Yeah.
You guys have anything that's hot on your mind? Jamal came in here and he had breaking news as far as an NFL hire that he wanted. So nobody take that because he's here for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can talk about the non-hires,
That would be fun.
which is now there are 2 teams that don't have a head coach.
Man, you got to be kidding.
And one of those teams beat the Cowboys by like 30 points early in the season. So which one's a better job?
Well, okay, so those 2 that are still out, I would like to double back on one that just got filled and get y'all's take on it. It was on my list. The Jacksonville Jaguars, waiting so long to get rid of the general manager, they missed out on a bunch of opportunities. What's going on over there in Jacksonville? Are y'all okay with that?
Well, they're getting their guy though.
Yes.
And it was funny that a week ago, during a Zoom conference call, someone asked about, would you be willing to? And Trent Baalke was on the call.
Yep.
With the owner,
Shad Khan,
and the owner, and the question was, I can't remember what the comment was from Shad Khan, and then the question back was, would that include changing the general manager? And he said, yes, that would be on the table.
Yeah, all options.
And all options are on. And general manager's sitting there going, wait a minute, when did I catch Crossfire?
Yeah. And I like what he said. For those who didn't hear it, he said, it's about making the team, the organization better. It's not about egos. And I like that he said that. For those who don't know, there is a little bit of a rumor mill, of a reputation that Trent Baalke had. Started back in San Francisco because a lot of us were wondering, how do you let Jim Harbaugh go back to college and leave San Francisco? He had Colin Kaepernick. They went to the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl. And when they lost the NFC Championship, they lost to the Seahawks, which was not a team to – I believe in good losses. Like, that was a good team to lose to who went to back-to-back Super Bowls. So I'm okay with what Jim Harbaugh is doing. But if you can't keep Jim Harbaugh in the building, brother, you got problems.
Yeah. So and well, look, they're not the only organization. Obviously, I mean, look, the Cowboys are a different situation. We know that they've got front office issues as well. But Aaron Glenn was going to fly to New Orleans and decided not to after a discussion that reportedly was about New Orleans general manager Will Loomis and his future at New Orleans. And the prevailing theory is that Aaron Glenn did not even go to New Orleans because he did not want to work for Will Loomis.
Okay.
And so this is becoming more. Look, I don't remember coaches being this involved in who they were working for at the general manager position as it is today in the past.
Yeah.
I don't remember that being this out front.
Yeah.
I know. Maybe you guys do. It just doesn't seem to me that we've had in one off season when there were only 6 jobs. 2 of them are being severely impacted. 3 of them are being severely impacted. One of them's not going to change their general manager. The other 2, one's already changed their general manager, and it may come down. The Saints may end up having to change their general manager as well.
Late. After everyone else has done all these hires.
But I think that's a cool thing about this search, though, because now you see how important these GMs and head coach relationships are. I mean, look at the top teams in the league, and the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills.
Yeah.
All of them have a good relationship between GM and head coach. And I think that means a lot. When you come to these franchises that win, there's a bottom denominator, and they all have a good relationship. So I don't blame these head coaches because they know, like, if him and the head GM aren't on a good terms, then 3 years, they're both going to be out.
Yeah.
So might as well get the GM that you want to work with. And if you feel like this is your one opportunity to get a head coaching job, like the OC for the Buccaneers, he was like, "Look, if you don't get Balky out of there,
Right.
I'm not coming." Because this may be my one shot to be a head coach. So
Yeah.
I want all the cards to be the right cards on the table, and not one joker card that I can't get off the table. So,
Yep.
I understand it.
I'm not a betting man, but I just want to know. I hope you guys don't know this answer. So the Commanders are trying to make history as a 150-1 long shot to make it to the Super Bowl. If they win this weekend, can you guys remember the last team that had that kind of odds since 1978 when we went to this 16-game schedule? I'm just kind of curious if anyone's got anything off the top of their head. I'm deferring to the guy that is closer to my age, but I'm not saying young bucks. Y'all don't know y'all's history. But I'm curious who you guys. It's out of the blue. I know it's unfair for you guys, but
Is it the Titans?
no, not bad. Not bad.
Eli's Giants stand out to me. The Victor Cruz catch off the back of the head year. That stands out. That was a wild card team.
Yeah.
That won the title. So
Both of them were, weren't they?
no, you are right. They were both wild card teams. That's right.
Really? Wow.
Outside of that, my guess is you're probably thinking an older era team. You go back to Namath's Jets. I mean, they were prohibitive underdogs.
Well, remember 78 though. So since we went to the 16, so I
you're right.
I capped it there.
You're right. You're
From
you're
78
right. You're
coming
right.
forward.
Yeah.
But no, that's good. So it was the 1999 St. Louis Rams,
Rams.
and they were a 150 odds team also. And do y'all even
Talking about
remember
the greatest show on turf.
the? Yeah. So that's that's how historic this is.
Wow.
If it happens,
They were underdogs.
we don't see it.
Boy,
Who'd they play? I thought they were
I'll
like
get you
the
that, 'cause
favorites
we
back
got-
in the day.
We got a call.
all right. We're gonna jump into the phones. Hey, caller, you there?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning,
Hey.
Food Real Man. How you doing?
Hey, I can't complain, man. I just want to give my take on these 4 playoff games that are coming this weekend.
All right.
Kansas City and Buffalo Bills. I don't know. I'm not a Kansas City fan, but I tell you what, I admire them. I think about 2 years ago, about 2 or 3 years ago, they were playing the Buffalo Bills, and then they went down with 13 seconds on the clock, man, to win the game and put it in the overtime. And one thing you don't want to do with Mahomes is getting the ball in overtime. And the result, they lost.
You know, it's funny you say that. One of the topics I was going to offer to the guys was who has the most this weekend, what's the best storyline, and what makes a good loss. And so I wrote down 13 seconds Bills lose, a good loss. Can it be a good loss for them and their head coach? Because the narrative is that he gets outcoached since he has Superman, since he left 13 seconds on the clock with Mahomes. That should have been better clock management. Do you guys think that could be held against the Buffalo Bills head coach? Any kind of outcome this weekend, it's except for a win, right? Is he outcoached again? You can't leave 13 seconds on the clock, and then whatever. It's a storyline this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That's what I say. I used to watch him, you know what I mean? But I would just look at him and then go. After that game, man, like I said, I have to admire him. I'm not that fan, but you have to admire a team like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they win Thursday.
Yep. What else you got for us?
I just want to give a quick shout out to the Lady Longhorns.
About to say, did you watch the game last night? They gutted that game out last night. They didn't play. I don't think they played their best. They played their best against Maryland. I don't know if y'all watched the Maryland game when they put a beat down on Maryland.
Yeah.
They gutted that game out last night. They scored 80 points, so it's hard to say that they didn't play great, but that was a really good win last night.
Yeah, they played enough to win, so a W is a W. All right, thank y'all. I got to get back to work. Have a good day.
All right, Frugal Real Man, we appreciate you calling. Real quick before we get to a break, we didn't get to mention it with Frugal Real Man on the line because they need to get back to work. But Paige Buckets Paige
Yeah.
Buchers, she set the scoring record for UConn this week.
She sure did.
So
Shout out.
that's if you're at a program like UConn and you set a scoring record, that you're in you're in top company right there.
Yeah.
So
So just to close that St. Louis Rams, it was the first year of the greatest show on turf. The previous year they were 4-12.
that's I'm gonna give you credit because they beat the Titans.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was
to Corey's point, I thought they were favorites. I would if you'd have asked me who were the favorites in that game, I would have thought the Rams were the favorites.
They were 13-3
Okay.
at the end of that season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yes, and that, by the way, great football game.
Oh, my gosh.
A great Super Bowl game. It ended the half-yard line.
Kevin
come
Dyson. Come on, brother.
So, hey, we got to get it across from Twisting and Tweaking the Dials, Jamal January.
Yep.
To my left, Douglas Washington. To my right, KVU 24's Corey Mose.
KVU.
The Corey Mose.
Took Corey and I a couple minutes to get in this morning, so we appreciate Jamal and Douglas for holding down the fort until we got here.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't leave early enough. Corey might actually had work to do or something this morning, but I was going to be. I just didn't leave early enough.
It'd be like that. I tried doing your Good Morning Austin. I tried it.
He had a good
Okay.
spin. He had a good spin. I think he found it.
Yeah, I heard it.
What's
Low
it
deep in
like
the
though? Like when you realized, oh man, I am off my schedule. Was that after you got in the vehicle,
Yes.
or like yeah,
It was.
yeah? You kind of always see that at the last minute, like crap, man, where did that time go?
So I'll tell you, my entire schedule was off today because normally I have a schedule that I go through and I cut out one step, and so I was coming instead of going and doing something else before I came here, I was just leaving the house and coming straight here, and it didn't hit me until because I got to be very honest. I don't drive I-35 from Round Rock into Austin very often. A lot of places I go, I end up taking Mopac, and I go that route. And so I just don't take 35 all that often. And the new traffic pattern right at Breaker through Runberg, the traffic is backed up worse than it normally is.
Yeah.
Around the 9:30, 9:45 time frame, and so that threw me out. So that's what happened. Is I thought when I left the house, I thought I left in plenty of time. As I approached Breaker, I'm like, "Ooh, I didn't leave early enough. I'm not going to be there." Because I thought I was going to be 5 minutes early.
Yeah.
And I was 2 minutes late. So, yeah. But we got a call on the line, so we're going to jump into the phones. Hey, caller, you there?
This is Mr. Ohio State.
Oh my gosh.
Please.
I thought maybe you were calling in to defend Mark Andrews.
Like if there's ever a bandwagon, that is a bandwagon for you.
That's right.
And he's still going
Hey, man,
for OU,
since-
technically.
Since I say Mr. Oklahoma, everybody just fall out in that laughing,
Yes, we do.
So that's why I said Mr. Ohio State,
There we go.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna tell y'all, man, I'm enjoying the high school, college, men and women basketball, and pro
Yep.
on all of that.
What a time to be alive.
What high school
I'm
you
gonna
at?
tell. Yeah, well, Pro, I was gonna tell you, man. Can you get 674 on your TV?
I don't have cable, dog. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I was gonna say
I can't even watch myself.
that's generational.
Yeah. Well, what I'm telling you, what high school I was watching, the Houston. They were talking about the Houston high schoolers. They were talking about Third, Booker T. Washington, Yay, Wheatley.
They're not the
and
same, though.
they go to the playoffs. You know what I'm saying?
They're not the same, though.
No, they're not. They're all 3A now, right?
But
I mean, they're small schools now.
Yeah, they're getting there.
Yeah. I mean,
okay,
Yates,
what do you
Yates
mean
still
they're
got some
not the
hoopers.
same? What do you?
Like they're
What are
not
you
they're not
talking
as
about?
good
They're
as
not
like
the same.
they're not as good as back in the day with Yates. Talking about number 1, number 2
Oh
in the country.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They're not the same.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's like a different era now. I'm just saying, just trying to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just saying, I was watching that, and that brings back memory, man, because I used to run track against those teams. I played football against those teams, But it just brought me back,
Yeah, Stony Point got a really good team out here, number 2 in the state.
Okay.
Yeah, Stony Point. Yeah, so I'll be watching those. I like, the high school area in Houston. But anyway, man, I've been watching this college basketball and this women's college basketball. I watched the women last night. I watched UCLA. That center, she's 6'7". And she was blocking all kind of shots against Rutgers, man. But I think, they're good now, but I think they're going to get beat, though.
Oh. Well, everyone shoots for the number one though. Oh, that's what everybody does. You give me a reason, because you just told us about her. She had 5 block shots. I mean, she the Wembanyama of the women's game. So you guys to tell us, homeboy, like their guards are pretty awesome. I mean, they had a girl that put up 8 3-pointers. That's a green light from your coach.
Yeah.
She hit 4 of them. That's 50%. So they can hit you inside. They can hit you outside. I like that team. I disagree with you. You got to tell me why, because they look solid.
You don't think UCLA will get beat?
Well, okay. So hyperbole aside, because they're number one.
They got to play USC, and USC is ranked what, number 8, something like that.
I ain't worried.
They got the ranked teams in their division, though.
Yeah, but that's the battle of Los Angeles. So both teams are going to come to bear. It means something. It means something. And Juju wants to be the queen of LA. So it's that game. Yeah, that's box office. I know I'm in Texas. I know people here in Texas can't wait for us to swing back to the Longhorns, but that's going to be a good game to watch. It's going to mean so much to both teams. Looking forward to that. I'm not even worried about how that one's going to turn out. Because I don't owe allegiance to either one.
Yeah, I watched that Texas game last night. They blew the team they were playing. They blew them out. They're looking pretty good right now. But guys, tonight, LSU and South Carolina.
Yes. In Columbia, for those who don't know.
That game, gentlemen.
In Columbia.
Because LSU is undefeated.
20-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that game is going to be a game I'm not going to miss. And then you got men's basketball. Auburn, they looking pretty good right now, but Tennessee is trying to climb back up. And I just can't understand why is Texas not ranked. They're not even ranked number 25.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not a top 25 team.
Yeah, they're really not. So next weekend I will be in Baton Rouge for the Texas LSU game. My daughter goes to LSU, so this will be the first game we'll attend where I'm in my burnt orange and she's in her LSU.
Dad.
Yeah, so she's gonna graduate next. She's probably gonna graduate next December. This might be our only chance to go see a conference game between our two schools.
Oh, Dad. Is that who's that guy up there? That's my dad. I didn't want to sit next to him, so I'm sitting down here with you guys.
You see one guy in the stands with burnt orange on the TV screen. Oh, look, Travis.
I'm going to watch that game now, Travis.
Is your daughter still playing soccer at LSU?
No, she's not. She's not playing. She decided that it wasn't. She still enjoyed playing, but she wanted to concentrate on her studies. And by the way, she's been on the dean's list a couple times, and so she's doing a really good job in school. Just decided that she got more active in her sorority. She was a pledge chairman for this semester, and so she's getting involved with some other stuff. No, she's not playing soccer anymore. So
for those who don't know, when you're in college, when you get into your fraternity and sorority, it can take you away. That's why you don't see that many athletes, Division I top level athletes that are affiliated with their fraternity or sorority and either accomplishing on the court or on the field. It can take you away. So I get it. And it's hard for her. So I understand the struggle.
Yeah. And I want to bring up, man, I watched that game last night, the Lakers in Boston. But the old man went off, boy. God,
you won't say that to his face.
the old man went off. I say, God, me, LeBron, you know, God dang it, dude.
I think we are watching something just spectacular. I hope we don't overlook it. I just was talking to a young buck about your age, Jamal, about what Jordan is in the comparison. I hope we just realize it's okay to be different personalities. We did agree there's just different personalities, and that's okay. But what we're watching is historic, and we may never see this again.
No, you're right.
What LeBron is doing.
No, it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's definitely crazy. I mean, I was watching that game too. I just kept thinking to myself, the dude's 40 years old.
Yes.
You know, like it's really wild to watch him. And I think he's averaging like 24, 7, and 9 at 40.
Number 2
You
for
know.
triple doubles.
Another All-Star game starter. Like he hasn't skipped a beat. But I will say with the Laker team though, Austin Reeves, he's a guy. Like he's a third guy.
Yeah.
Like he legit is the third guy. And I mean, I don't know if he gets enough respect.
Oklahoma.
No.
I thought you missed Ohio State. That's crazy.
Yeah. You went back to Oklahoma. You got to stay in character, Mr. Ohio State. Come on.
But you're right though.
No,
That
I'm
is the
talking about
Oklahoma
Austin Reeves.
product. That's the best product I
I
had.
think what
Yeah,
hurt
then
Austin
I'll-
Reeves. Sorry, I was gonna.
Yeah, did Austin Reed go to Oklahoma?
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Oklahoma, you know.
Yes. Oh, we know, but we were gonna go right past it. I was just gonna say it was diluted because they had Taylor Connect and they just went to see what they had in him. Dalton Connect, and they went to see what they had in him. And D'Angelo Russell was still there, and so they just needed to clear that up. They know what they got in the rookie. They're happy. They don't need to be paying D'Angelo, so they got D'Angelo out there. They realized the rookie is not ready every day to show up and give us that veteran presence. So now that's why we're back to Austin, and Austin Reeves gets that shine. I believe that's certainly what had happened there.
I feel like Reeves was still getting like. I don't think Dalton affected Reeves. I think it was more so LeBron trusting Reeves. I think that's been the biggest difference. Like LeBron not having the necessity to bring the ball up the court.
Yeah.
But multiple times throughout this year, and a little bit of last season, you got to see it too. He'll just toss the ball to Reeves to start the offense. And I've never seen LeBron do that unless it's with D Wade,
Yeah.
you know, unless with Kyrie.
Yeah.
But he's just Reeves, do your thing.
Say, man, I want to say this. That last week in that playoff game,
Yeah.
when Buffalo beat Detroit, looked like the coach was crying, about to cry, man.
You mean
We don't
the
beat
Commanders beat Detroit?
Looked like he's about to cry.
Oh, he was
Man,
crying.
don't cry.
No, he was crying. He's passionate. Remember, we laughed at him when he came in. I think we all laughed at him when he said bite him in the kneecaps, because we should. That was an incredible statement. But then we all respected. I think everyone knew he was turning something around by that second year. We realized, oh, this dude knows what he's doing. He's colorful. And then going for it on fourth downs, telling his offensive coordinator, yeah, we can do some trick plays. Yeah, he's good. So he's passionate. He's just wrapped up in that team.
Yeah, and I want to say, man, I want to pick for who's going to the Super Bowl. like I said, I'm not a Chiefs fan, but I got to say the Chiefs, man.
Ooh.
And I got to probably say, I don't know, probably Buffalo. I hope Buffalo goes to the Super Bowl. I'd like to see them.
You can't pick both.
You can't.
You can pick
Yeah.
both. Yeah.
You got to give us an NFC team. So your choices are Philadelphia and Washington to play your first pick, because you said it's going to be the Chiefs.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah. I really, man, I don't know, man. But Washington, they look pretty good, man. I guess I'll pick, man. I'm gonna probably say, where they playing at? Are they playing
In Philly.
Philly.
they playing
Philly.
where?
Philly.
They playing Philly. Well, I'm gonna have to go with Philly.
Okay. Well, that's your choice. Hey, you took us around the world. Any parting shots before we go, Mr. Ohio State?
Yeah, I want to say, Travis, what time the barbecue start, man?
Hey, he made us all think barbecue.
Hey, whatever time. Hey, you show up. I'll have the ribs ready.
Wow. Corey hasn't even had an invite to come get the ribs, but he'll give it to you.
Yeah, I know. I'm just joking with you.
Yeah,
Man.
He won't come.
Hey, man, I'm going to see y'all later.
All right. Appreciate you, Mr. Oklahoma, as always.
Remember, he says he doesn't like to go anywhere and watch these games and stuff. He likes to be at home in his man cave by himself with whatever fare he has just to make sure he can lock in. And I respect that.
Yeah.
I respect that.
I wanted to touch on, you spoke about Dan Cameron's opening press conference about buying kneecaps.
Yes, sir.
Y'all heard Ben Johnson?
Yes.
His opening statement?
I did.
You think that's just like a Campbell tree thing?
I
Just,
think so, yeah.
I thought that was my first thought when he said that. If you haven't heard the soundbite, Ben Johnson in his introductory press conference for the Chicago Bears as head coach, he basically looked at the players on the front row, including Caleb Williams, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze. They were all in attendance, DJ Moore. And he said, the expectation is to win now. And as a head coach, starting your job, first time speaking to the media and being that open about what the expectations are, he said this team is built to win now, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So you better get ready to be comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was just yes. I think a lot of questions with Ben Johnson was, can he lead a team? Mm-hmm. We all know he's creative with his mind. He can call great plays, but can he lead a team and lead men?
Yeah.
And I think that was his first little taste of, I think he can do this.
Y'all know why it was a good idea for him to take that job? Can you guys give me the positives? Because the top three, Green Bay, Minnesota, and Detroit, that's tough sledding.
Yeah, but when you're an offensive coordinator and you get a top draft pick quarterback that has weapons available.
Yeah,
you got that. To me, was the choice job for whatever best offensive mind they wanted to get. And they settled on Ben Johnson, and I'm excited to see what he does with that group. There's work to be done. I think they've got some expiring contracts on the defensive side of the ball, and they've got to get better on that side of the ball as well. But with what they have under contract, and quite frankly, on very friendly contracts, right, for probably 3 more years, right? From the quarterback positions, certainly Rome Odunze's got to be at a great cap number as well. You're set up for success, and I think it's a really good hire, and I think Chicago fans probably should be very excited about what they're going to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I get it. Like, you got to go against Detroit, you got to go against Green Bay, but there's no quarterback remotely close to Caleb in this draft. So if you went to another team that needed a quarterback, you're not getting a quarterback that has the same caliber that you're getting in Caleb Williams, especially with the weapons like Travis talked about. But I will say, like with the Bears too, they also have cap space. So you got to fix the offensive line. Well, go fix it in free agency. Yeah. So
Campbell.
Yeah, or draft exactly. Hey, Kevin Banks. And don't forget about old KB.
My fault. I'm sorry.
No, you straight. Nothing crazy. But yeah, so I agree with you, Travis. I feel like this was arguably the best job available out there. And they got their guy. So respect. What y'all think about Jamal's dang it. What you came in here with that you wanted to
Pete Carroll?
Yeah.
Pete Carroll going to the Raiders, man. I don't know, I'm a little iffy on that hire.
Iffy with it, okay.
Yeah. I mean I like Pete Carroll, minus the not giving it to beast mode on that play. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what he does and everything. They still gotta fix so many things on that roster. Especially at the quarterback position and everything. Yeah. But it should be interesting to see what Pete can do in Vegas.
Yeah, I'm interested too. I think it is like a full circle moment. Like he mentioned, I handed the ball off, and guess who's going against Tom Brady? Tom Brady's the owner. So but yeah.
Well, I think the organization needed something steady.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the guys. If you don't go get Belichick, you go get another tenured older guy that's seen it all.
When you look, I guess I don't want to short sell Pete Carroll. I mean, he's 73 years old.
Yeah.
But he doesn't look 73. He doesn't act 73. For goodness sakes, he looks like he's younger than me. He probably has more vitality than I have, on a day-to-day basis. But the reality is that if you're going to hire someone of his age, you probably have to have the foresight of what the next move is. Yeah. And so it will be interesting to see as they solidify his staff and they continue to move forward. If we see, they don't have to necessarily clue us in on what they see as the path, but it will be interesting to see if we're able to figure out what their path is. I mean, is this a 3-year hire, and they have an idea of who they want to take over after that, or is this just a hire, and they're waiting to see how they're at a point where Jamal was right. They need to retool this roster.
Yes.
They need to find a direction. And so Pete Carroll's a really good choice to give yourself a baseline. Okay, stop right here. Let's create a baseline. Now let's start rebuilding this roster, and let's try to get back in the. So, he's not going to be a guy that they just got done with, where he's 1 year and out. This is a hire where I don't care what our record's going to be next year. You're going to be the coach the year after that, and probably the year after that, and maybe 2 more years after that, because we trust that you are a steady hand.
Yeah, and then because when y'all talked about Ben Johnson going up against them other teams in his division, it does suck that the other 3 teams in the Raiders division made the playoffs.
Yeah,
so they can't have too high expectations.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I thought my reason was Ben Johnson feels comfortable because he's game planned for those other teams for so many years during his tenure. That's why he's like, hey, I'm familiar. I'm not afraid of those guys, even though I know it didn't turn out that well this year.
No, for sure. That's a jump start, right?
Yeah.
That's a jump start.
I want to talk about Pete Carroll. You talked about trying to get this roster together. I think that may be one of his strengths is building a roster, drafting well.
Yeah.
So you look at his time in Seattle, he went out and found Russell Wilson. He went out and found Richard Sherman. He went out and found Cam Chancellor. All these guys that weren't first-round draft picks. And then throw in Tariq Woolen right now. That's having a phenomenal career at cornerback. Another non-first-rounder that he found. So.
And didn't he go rejuvenate their current quarterback? His name just walked out. Gino.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't afraid to say, man, come on in here, Gino. I know that it might not have been the best areas that you've been before.
And the name's not jumping into my head right now, but remember, Pete Carroll's the one who the Seahawks had just signed. Who was the former LSU quarterback? They had just signed. He was the backup at Green Bay. They signed him.
Malik Willis?
No. Matt Flynn.
Matt Flynn.
He had that big game.
They had just signed Matt Flynn. They had signed Matt Flynn.
Oh my God!
And all indications were Matt Flynn was going to be the quarterback. Yeah. Then they draft Russell Wilson, and like a week into spring training, Pete Carroll said Russell Wilson's starting quarterback on this team, and everybody's like, wait a minute. Didn't y'all just sign like an $8 million backup quarterback?
Three years, $26 million.
Yes, exactly.
With $10 million guaranteed.
Yes.
That back in 2012, that was a lot of money.
Exactly.
You gotta have the kahunas to do that.
So Pete Carroll knows his he knows talent, and he's not afraid to put talent on the field.
And that's having a good general manager that will be okay with you doing that.
Yeah.
That's what all those coaches are chasing now, just to throw back to what we mentioned earlier, where man, I got to make this call.
Yeah.
I need them to understand why I go this direction. Like Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell's got that.
That's right.
Going forward on 4th down, trick plays, they got to have your back if you're going to pull that stuff off. And that's good coaching. When you can coach like that, free as a bird, we're all chasing that. In life, at work, in our marriage. Yeah, my wife, all she knows is to tell me no. So one other little question that I went to earlier. Is there a good loss for the Bills coming out of there? And then secondly, what's the best storyline coming out of these NFC championships that catches y'all's eye? Because I think if the Bills lose again, then this is the Jim Kelly Buffalo Bills. It just ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, it's just not fair to say that though, because you're going against Patrick.
Mm,
Like
yeah.
at the end of the day, like I feel the same way with Lamar. I feel the same way with the Texans. It's like, yes, it sucks they can't get over the hump, but the hump is Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
Yeah.
Jordan rules.
and Andy Reid. Like it's just that simple. So I can't put that much blame on the Buffalo Bills when who you're going against is Superman. So.
Yeah, I was jumping down a rabbit hole the other day and doing some because I went and saw Michael Jordan as a Washington Wizard.
Hey,
Like I remember old Jordan, old. I mean, because what made me think about it was 40-year-old LeBron being an all-star, and I want to. What was Jordan 38, 39 when he came out of retirement for the second time to play for the Wizards, and he averaged 20 a game that year.
he
scored-
dropped 51.
He scored 24 the night that I watched him, but he was so inconsequential to that team. I mean, like that team was just they weren't good. And where was I headed with that? So, but my point was, Akeem Olajuwon. If Akeem Olajuwon, if Jordan doesn't retire for those 2 years, do we look at Akeem Olajuwon differently? If he never wins a title, he got two.
You definitely do.
He got two back to back.
Yeah.
But and I'm not saying that. I mean, it's crazy to talk about, right? Because the Bulls won 3. Jordan's were playing baseball for 2 years, and they win 3 more. Could they have won 8 straight?
Yeah.
They could have won 8 straight titles.
Yeah.
And we'd have been talking like the 11 straight that Bill Russell won
Yeah.
with the Celtics.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy to even think about, right?
Well, it wasn't straight. There was a break in there.
There was?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't.
But he got 11 total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we have to do that. When we go back and we look at history, we're just going to have to remember that. And I just hope the front office over there in Buffalo, some of these front offices realize Harbaugh's good in Baltimore.
Yeah.
But, just up there in Buffalo, like, what do y'all want?
Right.
You got a good coach. That's the way I see it.
And you're knocking on the door, and look, Bum Phillips said, hey, this year we want to kick the door in, right? But they couldn't get through that steel curtain. And so that Oilers team with Earl Campbell, Travis Kent, alongside Douglas Washington, Jamal January, KVU 24's Corey Mose. So guys, we've kind of bounced around a lot, mainly because we had to wait for Mr. Oklahoma's segment.
You mean Mr. Ohio State?
Mr. Ohio State segment, yeah. We haven't talked about the national championship game. Y'all want to talk about that before we get into heavy talk about the 2 championship games this weekend? Notre Dame, Ohio State. Ohio State wins their 7th national championship in French, something like that. I don't know. Something like that. I think it's number 7. Ryan Day, who much maligned by this reporter. I can't really say I'm a fan of his. I mean, I think he sharpies his beard. It's like way too dark. I mean, it's just so.
Shame.
Low key though, if you look at Marcus Freeman's edge up,
Oh man,
Looks
you
like a
got
tattoo.
you got a little bit.
yeah, a little
of
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a little bit of shade in there too. So.
Enhancement.
Okay, so Ohio State. So let's start with the start of the game, and an 18-play, 10-minute drive by Notre Dame for a touchdown. 9 carries by Riley Leonard, who was flat exhausted after that drive was over, for a touchdown. And Ohio State responds by going on 3 consecutive touchdown drives of their own. What do you guys think about the early in the game what did you think of the matchup at that point?
I liked it. Ground and pound, run the ball.
I was worried. Thought I was gonna have to eat crow. 'Cause I was like, man, Notre Dame ain't gonna win this.
Mm-hmm.
I was worried. I was like, Ohio State, what are y'all doing? What did y'all eat? Them Atlanta streets is undefeated. I mean, everything was going through my head.
Yeah.
Then the game started.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting for sure. But you never know if they could withstand it.
Yeah.
So you had to watch that second drive. But yeah, the first drive was definitely shocking.
My initial reaction after seeing that drive was, okay, I think this is going to be a football game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it turned into not a football game. Then it turned into a football game again.
Mm-hmm.
But I came away from that going, that's not sustainable. Like I just don't think you can run. I mean, I did not feel Riley Leonard was going to carry the ball 35 times in the game, and that was the pace they were on, was him having 35 carries, and it just doesn't seem like that's a sustainable theory in college football these days. The second thing that popped into my head was that they're going to be forced to push the ball down the field in the throwing game. And while I don't, I'm not one that says that Riley Leonard can't play in the NFL, but I also, I think in that second drive, in fact, there was he threw a little crossing pattern, and like it was way overthrown. Like it was not even close. And that's the problem with Riley Leonard is I don't think his arm is bad. I just think it's so inaccurate that that's going to be the thing that holds him back. And in this game, I didn't feel I think we all talked about the fact that you're probably going to have to score close to 30 points to win this football game.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that Riley Leonard's arm is good enough and that's not it's a good Notre Dame team, but he doesn't have Ohio State weapons around him.
No.
And it was going to be really tough for them to get to that point.
Yeah, watching the game, I said Team Tebow is what I said, and I was just talking about the inaccuracy when I said that to him, not the physical presence, but then again, he did carry the ball for 17 carries. He only got 40 yards, but 17 carries out of your quarterback is saying a lot. So they respect his legs and his leadership to do that, and that was 17 out of the 26 carries total that they had, and I think because of that, that's going to make some NFL teams consider him, maybe not as a week one starter, but maybe you can bring him in and take that athletic ability and do something with it. So I think, because remember, we talked about this, I was saying coming out of the championship, can a couple of these guys play themselves into the first round? Will Howard, can he? Can Riley Leonard? Can he? And so I think there are some teams outside of those top three quarterbacks that are going to say, okay, well, I'm going to look at Jackson Dart. I'm going to look at Dylan Gabriel, but what can I do with Will Howard if he's got weapons like a Jeremiah Smith? What can I do with Riley Leonard? Maybe with some run pass option, maybe some design run. So I was impressed with what one of y'all said. I think it was you, Corey. You said he was a gamer, right? Mm-hmm. During the game. And I like that. Yeah. I appreciate hustle.
Yeah, that first drive, I was definitely like, wow. I think I texted some group chat. Yeah, I did. I was like, wow, y'all were right. This dude actually is a gamer. The way he was running and everything, I was like, man.
So can we say in that second half, Notre Dame outscored Ohio State 16-13. But it's a tale of two halves. If that second quarter, if Ohio State wouldn't have put up that 21 points and Notre Dame put up that goose egg, man, we actually could have had a good game. That's what it could have, should have, or is that just who Ohio State is? We'll hang 21 on you quick.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it was, and I think they played conservative for a little bit, just trying not to get beat deep, make them go down the field. Yeah, they beat him in the second half, but I wouldn't I'm not going to say that Notre Dame played better. I just think that
Right.
Ohio State was just more conservative
Okay.
with their defensive play call. But I mean, y'all know how I feel about that.
we know.
At third down, bring a full house blitz. Leave Jeremiah Smith one-on-one. Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah, that was bad. That
Have y'all seen the clip of that cornerback jumping up and down saying, "Hey, the ball's about to go here, but I gotta sling in and cover." So, can y'all? That's the story right there.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Smith. How do we bubble wrap him? He somehow has to get through this next season. He's a first round guy now as a freshman. Is there anything that we can do? Or did you tell him just go out there and can he lower his stock in you guys' eyes? Is basically what I'm asking.
No. Lower his draft stock?
Yes, sir.
Not at all.
So there's nothing he could do sophomore season. He's still a first round guy, no matter what happens this year. Because Will Howard's not going to be there, so we got a new quarterback.
Man.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Will Howard didn't make.
Will Howard didn't
make Jeremiah Smith, bro. Jeremiah Smith made Will Howard. So no, I don't think so. I mean, it reminds me a lot of Marvin Harrison. Like Marvin Harrison's sophomore season was crazy, and we went into that next year thinking like, okay, what's he going to do next year? And they didn't have the same success his last season at Ohio State that they did the year before. Because remember, he had that crazy Rose Bowl game. Yeah, that was ridiculous. But then that next season, he really didn't match that same type of effort.
No.
But we all knew who was going to be the first wide receiver taken in the draft. Now, mind you, I think once the combine and all that stuff comes up, then you may see the shift of, is Jeremiah Smith the number one receiver? Because now you're having all eyes on the receiving class. But throughout the season, the football season, I think he'll make enough plays for people continue to put him at that number one receiver spot.
Absolutely. And in my opinion, Ohio State's backup QB was better than their starter. What's his name? Julian
Is that Julian
Sayin?
Sayin?
Yeah. I have high expectations for Julian. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how the team rebuilds and retools. It's funny because now Texas is gonna face the defending champ for back-to-back years on the road.
Yeah.
And this one's going to be week 1 instead of week 2 against Michigan this year.
Exactly.
So that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah,
to
so
see.
Ohio State's going to be 0-1 to start the year. They're behind the 8 ball already. So
Well, it's going to be. Look, Travis may make a good point in the sense of look at Michigan. Everyone's talking about the defending champs, but they had to retool a lot.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes, sir.
Now, mind you, Texas did too.
Yes.
Texas had to retool a lot as well. There's a lot of questions going into this season if Texas can, match the same run defense, losing Sweat, losing Murphy.
and Texas, by the way they had to retool the defensive line this year is now going to have to do it on the offensive line this year. And so everybody's got new questions they're going to have answered. But it's always nice to have starting blocks like Jeremiah out there. I mean, if you're going to say, what are we going to do with the quarterback position now? Well, let's just go ahead and let's throw it to that guy a lot, and that'll help whoever is the starting quarterback.
So then would you guys say the same thing about Alabama? Milroe said he's coming out. Ryan Williams is there. And, DeBoer didn't get fired. So same thing. You think it'll be easy to retool, rebuild Alabama then?
I think it's going to be tough. It's a different situation because
I
the
agree.
offense was so heavily on Milroe.
Yes.
Like, not just passing, but running. Like, there's a lot of the run game was on Milroe. And so who the quarterback is going to depend on what the offense looks like. So if it's going to turn into a pocket present offense like you saw DeBoer have at Washington, like you saw DeBoer have before Washington, the way Michael Penix was able to do his thing in that offense, you think that he may want a pocket passer compared to what Milroe was. And so it'll be interesting to see who the quarterback is for Alabama. I don't know who's behind Milroe, but is he more of a prototypical quarterback that DeBoer likes, or is he somebody that Nick Saban recruited? I don't know. But you're right, though. I mean, you still have a guy like Ryan Williams out there. I think that's why DeBoer was attracted to the position anyways, because he knew he had a talent in Ryan Williams coming in. So it'll be interesting. Ohio State's losing everybody but Jeremiah Smith. So I'm definitely interested to see how they retool. Becoming opposite Jeremiah was Ibuka, who no one's really talking about. But I mean, he broke the school record for receptions at wide receiver.
Yeah.
And you talked about who broke a record. No, Paige. You talk about
Page,
Paige.
Page
You talk about
Buchers,
Paige
yeah.
Buchers breaking the record
Yeah.
at UConn and how big that is.
Yeah.
You know, breaking Ohio State's receiving
Yeah,
record
right.
Garrett
is a
Wilson,
huge deal.
yeah.
Yes, it is.
Bro,
Olave,
yeah, Olave, name them. Yeah.
JSN,
Marvin Harrison
Harrison
Jr.
Jr.
Heck, before
Terry
Glenn.
Glenn. I mean,
Glenn.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
saying you saying Glenn. I'm saying McLaurin. You know,
Yeah, but yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
did a lot of dudes out of
Ted
Ohio
Ginn.
State.
Yeah.
Ted
Yeah,
Ginn.
that's what I was
Ted
thinking of
Ginn,
too. Ted
Yeah.
Ginn.
Oh man, he was
There's
amazing.
a lot of dudes from Ohio State, and Luka broke the record. So
But here's what I'm thinking, because you're asking how are they gonna like revamp their roster? They're just gonna drop that, what was it, 10 mil, 20 mil on NIL again, and get probably even better pieces. Who knows? So
well, it's interesting now because you're at a deficit as a national champion with the transfer
Yeah.
portal. You're behind the 8 ball. No one's really out there anymore.
Yeah.
And so you won the
that's a
title,
good
but like
point.
no one's on the transfer portal radar. So
Chris Carter, Joey Galloway, Garrett Wilson, David Boston. Remember David Boston?
Boston,
He
yeah.
looked like a man out there. He had them guns. Sheesh! Wow, that's
It's a lot of receivers.
Wide receiver, you.
and so now I will say like when it- yeah, but it's like,
slow
Santonio,
down.
I could keep
you
going.
got- you got-
Santonio Holmes.
You
can't go this deep anywhere else.
I give it a Bama. That's just me though.
You can't.
Bama.
We are
on,
already
bro.
in double digits.
Come on,
You
bro.
can't go double digits at LSU.
Come on, bro.
We're in double digits.
But what's the quality that we're talking about though? We're talking about, bro. LSU has the best receiver in the NFL and the second best receiver.
Yeah, that's in the last decade.
Yeah.
This is
This is
40.
overall
This
he's
is
talking
40.
about.
I understand
This is
that.
40 years of
Yeah.
wide receivers.
Yeah.
And
So we're not
that-
going to talk about Bama. We're just not going to.
No, we're not gonna talk about Bama.
Bama's the last 15 years also.
Oh, yeah,
true.
Julio Jones.
yeah.
Devontae Smith, Heisman,
Okay.
Jalen Waddle.
He kind of fell off a little bit.
What? That's because Tyreek went there.
Shout out Houston, but he kind of fell off a little bit.
All I do is catch touchdowns. His name is Chris
Henry
Carter.
Runaway Ruggs.
So we're
Henry
doing.
Ruggs. I was about to say Ruggs.
Ruggs, Jerry Judy. Like, literally.
I get it. You are receiver. But I'm thinking about the now times.
J-Mo.
Michael
I think right
Thomas.
now-
I forgot. Michael Thomas.
The last 40 years is my time. This is now time.
Yes. Yes. Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, you
I
said
mean,
that.
as
Yeah.
we're getting ready to hit 20. I wasn't happy to be in double digits. We may make it to 20.
Yeah.
Bro, we haven't looked up LSU though. I mean, I bet if we look up LSU, you have the same type of history. You can go back to Jarvis Landry being there, Odell
No,
being
yeah,
there.
yeah. I mean, look, and you're right. I mean, but Ohio State's lineage of wide receivers is really, really deep.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's very, very solid.
And to go back to my point in general, Ibuka is maybe one of the most slept on receivers in
I
this
agree.
draft.
He should be a first rounder.
No one's talking about him, but I do feel like if you break the record at OSU,
Yeah.
and to me it shows a lot that we talk a lot about Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
And we have a dude in Ibuka who played with Marvin Harrison, who everyone talked about Marvin Harrison. And you just didn't hear any chatter. You didn't hear any complaints from Ibuka.
No.
And you have this freshman come in. Everyone's talking about this 18-year-old. And you about to break a record. And no one's really talking about you.
Yeah.
That shows a lot about his character and who he is as a person, that he doesn't cause trouble in the locker room,
Literally.
knowing that, like,
Just doing his job.
he's just doing his job. And, he's not getting no notoriety for it from the national media. So he's a baller. So we'll see what happens in the draft. But I think he may be one of those sleeper picks that late in the first round, go get him. Like a Brian Thomas Jr., I
Yeah.
feel like was slept on a
BTR.
little bit. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But other than that, though, like, NBA is fully kicked into high gear. I didn't realize it was All-Star time. I saw the starters come out. And I'm like, wow, it's that time of year.
Yeah.
Dang,
Cat makes the starting lineup.
he been balling.
He has.
Shout out New York. Him and
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson,
Hey,
starters.
he has
Finally
decided
put it
now that he's not next to the Stifle Tower, he says I can be a double-digit rebounder. That's the biggest thing that has impressed me. All those double doubles that he's copping, and because we haven't seen that on him because he's the three-point shooter, right?
Yeah.
He stands outside, he hovers around that three-point line. He's still shooting them, but to be double-digit rebounds, I'm impressed.
So can we say that Minnesota lost that trade?
Oh yeah, because Randall
I mean, I knew they
Randall
lost
doesn't
it.
look that good. He hasn't fit in.
Randall's not good. Like,
Yep.
Randall's a shot chucker,
Yep.
Yeah.
and he doesn't pass the ball, and he thinks he can drop 30 every night.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds right.
Good point.
You
he
just read
doesn't
off the
and he
back of
doesn't rebound.
his NBA trading card.
Like, I hate it for him because I was a big fan of him. 'Cause I was I'm a Laker fan, so when they drafted him, I'm like, oh, this is a good pickup. And he had a great rookie season. Well,
second because he got hurt rookie year. He was out for the season. But then second year, the first year back, like he had a great year. Thought he was going to be one of those Draymond types. Can do it all. Can pass, shoot. He just lost like the facilitating role that he liked to do. And now he's just a chucker. And I just hate that, and especially in that offense when you got Gobert that can't do anything offensively.
Yeah.
So that like encourages Randall to shoot more.
Yes.
It's just like McDaniel can't shoot either. It's just that. I mean, that whole construction of the roster it didn't make sense to me. And I hate that for DiVincenzo too.
Yeah.
I wish they would have found a way to kept him.
Yeah, that really hurts.
Yeah, what was your Nova Knicks?
Yep, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And for him to leave, it's not working out for Minnesota. I'm just wondering what else you could have thrown in there. I think it's just Minnesota said, you got to give us something. And I think that's what it just came down. It wasn't necessarily that they didn't want to keep him. I think their arm got twisted. It's like, oh, just like what Corey said. Yeah. They was like, oh, we'll give you Randall. and like
Just
Corey
like,
was
all
in the
right, cool.
general manager. He's like, and?
Yeah.
Oh, we thought it was a switch for switch.
That's cute.
Nah, bro. That's because in L.A. he was getting 20-some shots a game. And, yeah, that hurts.
Travis, can we talk about Dallas for a little bit?
Sure.
First off, let's just do Mavericks.
All right.
They're not good without Luka.
Yeah, Oklahoma City would tell you they've dropped 2 straight to them now.
Yeah. Wow.
Last night,
Shout out.
last week.
Shout out. Or everybody else in the league.
Okay, now we're struggling.
I don't know what it is. Have you watched the game? I haven't watched them. So.
Yeah. And it's a tough watch.
Okay.
It's Kyrie. Of course, Kyrie's got his own injury issues, and he's back right now. Lively's out now for probably the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that ankle is
I didn't know that.
It's done.
They found a broken bone in his foot, and so essentially what they said is they'll reevaluate him next month. They think it's 2 to 3 months. So personally, with the strength of the West, with Luka's going to be back in, I don't know, in the next 3 weeks or so, probably. But realistically, can they make the playoffs? They can.
Okay.
But I mean, if you're looking at another 15 games without Luka, they're 3 games over 500 right now, and they're sitting seventh in the West.
Yes, sir.
But Golden State's 11th in the West, right? And they're 1 game over 500. So, I mean, it's a razor-thin margin. I just find it difficult to think Lively's out for extended time. Luka's still out. Kyrie is probably going to miss some more time just because that's the way he's having to play so many minutes. Gafford is balling out. Oh, my goodness.
He just sprayed the game the other night.
31-15.
We found
He had like 8
something.
blocks, right?
Yeah.
8 blocks, yeah.
But
He won't have to share time with Lively when Lively gets back.
and that's the thing is, a week ago,
He's about to get traded,
a
right?
week,
Am I
a week,
tripping?
oh no,
Yes.
A week ago, the thought was we've got to get another piece in here,
Yes.
and so Gafford, let's just give the job to Lively and stop this splitting it out thing.
Yes.
But now that's off you can't do that.
No.
I mean,
So that was before Lively
Jimmy
got hurt.
Butler wants to come to Dallas.
After.
But Jimmy Butler wants to come to Dallas, and if you had a healthy Lively, maybe a Gafford and something else would have gotten Butler here. But I don't, every year the Mavericks have been able to make at least a move here and there. But I just don't know right now with the number of injuries they have that even if you make a move that it's going to help much.
What is Clay doing?
Well, see, that's
Yeah.
he's not doing much. I mean, I was one early in the season that said, look, I'm not worried about him getting off to a slow start.
Because I actually.
We had plenty. Yeah. And hey, if Luka was healthy and Lively was healthy, I'd probably still be preaching, don't worry about it. Let's wait till playoff time, because he doesn't need to be a huge part. He just needs to have a hot streak every once in a while. But now they kind of need him to be Clay from 5 years ago, and I don't know that Clay's still in there. I mean, it's probably not. Now you're getting some help from some other guys. Dinwiddie last night.
Yeah.
Dinwiddie stepped up.
Yeah.
Really?
But Dinwiddie only plays on one side of the floor.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nice.
and that's the problem is they beefed up with the moves they made. They kind of beefed up their defense, and now their defense is back into question. Because now, if you're going to play Dinwiddie 30 minutes a night, that's 30 minutes of no defense.
Yep.
Yes.
So now you're forced to have Kleba on the floor more than you want him on the floor, because, quite frankly, he's your best defender.
Yeah.
I mean, without him, if you take him off the floor, you've got almost nobody playing defense.
Travis, I've been waiting all
Except
week
Gafford.
for this to because I wanted to give you a bright spot when it came to
Okay.
the Mavericks.
All right.
The bright spot is you're in the 7th place, but the team right above you is the Kawhi. Why am I playing so many games on this knee? Clippers, and I think they'll drop.
Okay.
And so, because you always got to say, well, if you take somebody out or you put somebody in, who are you going to take out? I'm taking the Clippers out because I don't trust Kawhi to stay in. Yeah, he played last night. They smacked around the Wizards.
He had a good game last
But
night.
how healthy can he stay until he proves it? And
Yeah.
I think at this point we all can say that when it comes to Kawhi. So I want to give you that because you already stole. I had two things. I was going to say Gafford is amazing, but you're already on that one.
Heck, even as a Laker fan, can't trust them.
Yeah, that's true.
Hold on.
They're number
hold
4
on.
right now in the West, 5 games above 500.
Tim Legler is already on the bandwagon then, which means we got to stay on it. He
They gotta
says
get a
they're a
big.
legit threat is what he
They
says.
gotta get a big, and they'll be a legit threat. That's
Well,
why.
they shot 46% from 3
Yeah.
last night against Boston.
JJ has him ready.
Yeah.
I think the thing with Redick, this is just my hypothesis, but he's been on the sideline watching the good teams, right? He's covering the Celtics in the playoffs. He's covering the Thunder in the playoffs and the Milwaukee Bucks and teams like that and the Cavs. And so he's been creating a game plan for the top teams for the past year.
Yeah.
On how to beat these teams. He's talked about on air how to beat these teams. And so my guess is once the playoffs happen, we're really going to start to see JJ Redick's mind come into play and how he's been preparing to beat these top teams around the league. I think right now, though, they have a good record against bad teams, but like I said, you can never trust the Lakers in the sense of when it comes down the stretch, can they stay above 500? That's always the question. But I do think if they are able to make the playoffs, you'll see a lot what you saw last night against the Celtics of, wow, Redick has a game plan that clearly is a way to beat the Celtics if the Lakers play to the game plan. So that was a good showing last night against a Celtics team that they are on a back-to-back, so I don't know how much that plays a factor. But you got to throw that in there. Just like the Thunder, they're on a back-to-back last night.
If they were an older team, I'd throw that in there, but they're a relatively young team. I like if they had a Kawhi, if they had a Paul George, if they had a LeBron, even James Harden. But Tatum and Brown, man, they still young.
Yeah.
All right, so we need Travis Kent, Douglas Washington, Jamal January, KVU 24's Corey Mose.
You're
And hey, another number I just want to throw out, 76 straight games that Victor Wembanyama has a block shot.
Hey.
Good grief.
That's crazy.
Now, when I heard that yesterday, of course, yesterday was the France game. Who knew Indiana Pacers had a guy from France on their team?
I did not.
So
Who?
before the game, they announced the lineups, and then this guy for Indiana, they had him a microphone and Victor Wembanyama, and they both spoke French to the French crowd. And I felt so bad for the guy. I don't even know who he is. I've never heard of the guy. And then they gave him polite applause.
Yeah.
And then he hands it over to Victor Wembanyama. It was a Spurs home game yesterday in France. Let me tell you right now. So I don't care. Indiana could have stacked their team with people from France, and Victor Wembanyama was still going to get the biggest cheer. So
Well, the Spurs also got like 2 or 3 guys from France on the
Yeah,
roster.
they do.
It's
Yeah.
Sissoko.
and they've had a history. They've built their profile as obviously the Tony Parker years. French basketball fans have been Spurs fans for a really long time, and Victor really just has cemented that as the new pick. Who's the? Never mind. There's another. Used to be a Phoenix Sun that
Not
played
talking
for the Spurs.
about Diaw, are you?
Boris
Yeah,
Diaw.
Boris
Yeah.
Diaw
Yeah.
was a Spur
You
for
got
several
Tony
years.
Parker.
Yeah.
So definitely a lot of history in France. I think Wemby talked about that when he got drafted.
Yeah.
It was like,
He did.
I've always kind of followed because of
Because of that, yeah.
Parker and Diaw.
Yeah.
So, it's great for what the NBA is doing. You see the NFL trying to dabble overseas, going to Dublin, Ireland, and then, going to Brazil and stuff like that. And Germany, of course, they love football out there. And NBA, they already have the international scene kind of locked down a little bit. But I do think they need to do more of an effort of this type of stuff and going and playing games overseas and not just having players come to the NBA.
You bring up a great point because the NBA basketball is much more of an international game than football for sure.
Yeah.
And I would even say baseball. Like baseball is played in a lot of other countries, but really you're talking about South America and the Asian countries. Europe has almost no real feel for baseball. Basketball, though, is as universal as soccer in many ways.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't hurt that you only need 5 guys on the court to play, and heck, you can even play 3-on-3. And when you look at the international game, you're right. I think the NBA should look into more of its presence of the NBA as a franchise. And like they're doing a good job as an organization by having ownership stakes in other foreign leagues.
Yeah.
But actually exporting the U.S. NBA to foreign countries to play these. They're not exhibitions. These are real
games.
These are real season games. But I think you're right. They probably need to look at having a bigger footprint as far as that goes.
Well, it's funny you guys say that before we take this call. 29 minutes ago, the CBS Sports just put out a report that the NBA reached out to the EuroLeague about a partnership. And I did see ESPN put that out yesterday. So I didn't know we were going to talk about it today. But so the opportunity is there. You guys are spot on. Like it's happening. So you guys are right there in the field. That's the groove that the NBA is trying to go.
We got a call on the line. Oh, let's jump into the phone and say, caller, you there?
Tell Coach Clark he got a big raise. I want a loan.
No, my God. To Ohio State.
I think they gave him a jet or something like that, a plane or something like that. So all I want to do is get a loan from him. See y'all later.
All right, we'll let him know. I think most of that loan is going to have to is probably to pay for L'Oreal's wardrobe, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And hairstylist and makeup artist. Look, so who would he rather not loan money to? Mr. Oklahoma or Mr. Ohio State? Because Ohio State's still in his crawl right now. So either way, you ain't getting that money, brother, whichever identity you have today. Don't hold your breath.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we need to get to the AFC and NFC championship games in earnest. So let's get into these two games. Which one you want to start with? You want to start with the NFC East?
Yes.
Or you want to start with the AFC?
Yeah, I would start with NFC East because
Okay.
all I heard was NFC North, 3 teams. We've never seen this before. Where they at?
Yep.
On the couch. But now we about to have the battle at I-95. We got Philly and the Commanders.
course you
Looking
know that.
forward to it. I
The
do.
Harlem Globetrotter,
I do.
ladies and gentlemen.
This is going to be good. They're right up the road. If y'all didn't know, the Commanders bus is leaving today. If you guys want to jump on, listen, guys. I want to see a team play another team a third time in the season. I think we have a nicked up Jalen Hurts, so I'm pushing my coins to the middle of the table on that Commander juice.
Yeah,
And Magic Johnson, I trust.
have they said what the weather is going to be in Philly yet?
38 degrees.
That's cold. Oh my
It's fine.
gosh.
They're just snowing.
You think Jaden Daniels is going to be fine?
Yes.
I think so. He's
No, wait,
He's a
what?
California dude.
yeah.
California
I guess
dude
he's
went to
from,
Arizona
but he
State, went to LSU.
Yeah.
Where they
Playing
play,
in the
but didn't they
cold.
play in the cold before? Who they play last?
They
round?
played in a dome, didn't they?
Yeah, well,
the
they-
Lions.
I
they
mean,
played
to your point,
played
the
Lions.
last
Yeah,
team,
you're right.
last game of the
And then
season
Tampa
was the
Bay.
Cowboys, then Tampa Bay,
Yeah.
then the
Yeah.
Dome. Okay, I'll give you some of
We
that.
would have to see how he did in cold weather games. But I feel like he beat Philly
Yeah.
in Washington, and it was late in the season, huh?
That was
Yeah.
the game before.
They won by 3. Yeah.
That was the game before
33-36, I
Cowboys.
think.
I'm sure Washington was cold in December. My guess is, right?
Yes,
Maybe not 32.
Yeah.
not
but-
right now because they got snow now. Okay,
But
Travis, who do you got? Commanders, Eagles.
So-
which way you're leaning?
Okay, so this is a tough one for me, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm a Cowboys fan, and I have to pick a winner.
I know.
I mean, I can't pick 0-0 tie.
No, you cannot.
Not this time.
Commanders.
Whoa! Hey, that's 2 for the Commander juice.
Yeah. I'm actually
yeah. The juice.
obviously Philly got the better roster.
Yeah.
But I still think they got some locker room stuff they still got to handle, and I'm liking what Jaden Daniels is doing. Like I said, if he uses his legs, he's gonna. They should
See, and that's. I mean, you guys know I'm a broken record, right?
Yeah.
The team with the better quarterback
Mm-hmm.
is usually the team I go with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't hate Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't like him that much. I feel like he's already peaked as an NFL quarterback.
Really?
Does that
Okay.
and so, low key, I kind of feel that way about Dak Prescott. Like I feel like he's already peaked. So that's kind of where. So I'm going with Jaden. The thing that bothers me is Saquon can take this game over,
He really good.
and he can just kind of make it about him, and he could go for 24 carries for 185 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Washington may never get the ball. Like Washington may only get like 6 drives in the whole game. I mean, that's the reality of what this game could be. That's what scares me about it. Not scares. That's actually what excites me because I think Saquon's the best player in the game.
Yeah.
He's the best football player in this football game, and he should touch it 20 to 25 times. But let's see how it plays out.
Well, we didn't hear Corey's yet. I just want to come in on that
Okay.
point. For those of us drinking the Commander juice, we ain't worried about that. Detroit ran for 200 yards against this Washington team.
Yes.
And we know how that turned out because Jahmyr Gibbs looked amazing.
He did.
Oh, my God. He looked like Reggie Bush back at USC. Like, he looked amazing. And they put up 200 in totality,
yes.
and yet they still lost.
No, you're right, and to that point, part of the because Saquon, I might have bet some bubble gum last weekend, and I might have had Saquon in the over of 117.5 yards,
Easy.
and I thought that was easy money.
Yeah.
And it was easy money.
It's easy, but I took it too. That's why.
Now, it would have been real good money if Nelson Aguilar had just had a couple catches because I had a nice little same game. I had a nice little parlay going too. That let's not talk about that.
I had a group parlay with my boys. And my pick was Saquon to go over, and I hit.
Yeah.
Someone picked the Lions to win, and
I had Cooper Kupp, and let's say just like Saquon and Cooper Kupp came through for me last
Yeah.
night.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Respect.
Yeah, so
So, Corey, you didn't give us yours then.
About the game.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I like Eagles. More so to the fact that the point I made last week, and who can run the football into the end zone.
Yeah.
And, if you saw last week, the Chiefs could run it into the end zone against the Texans. Eagles could run it against the Rams. Washington could run it with Brian Robinson. And then you saw the Bills being able to run the football against the Ravens. When the Ravens were on the goal line, what they do, pass the ball to Mark Andrews, and they didn't run the ball. They tried to run the ball with Derrick Henry. That first play, it didn't work.
Yeah.
So, to me, this game, I just trust Saquon having the ability to run the ball against that Washington Redskins Washington Commanders, I should say, front seven, compared to having Jaden Daniels or Brian Robinson run it against that Philly front seven. I just don't see that happening in the red zone because Jalen Carter is playing phenomenally right now. N'Kobe Dean doing his thing. You have Nolan Smith doing his thing. So I like Eagles just because they can run the ball in the red zone area. And to me, that's going to be the difference in this game. Who can score on the ground when it's tight conditions. So that's why I like Philly. And that's also why I like Chiefs in the next game. So
Now
I just don't want to see Bills Commanders. That doesn't get me going for the Super Bowl.
what you got against Buffalo and Josh Allen lovers?
I mean,
Bills
come on,
Mafia?
bro. Bills Command. That really gets y'all. I'm not gonna watch that.
That's because you haven't jumped.
You will watch
Yes,
it,
you
but
will. Yes, you will.
I'm gonna call
dabble.
KV and tell him, hey, make sure y'all schedule him during that game if it happens, man.
We just found out a person that they could schedule because he
Yeah.
ain't gonna watch it anyway.
Yeah.
Somebody else could go home and, during that time.
I mean, I'll support Jaden for sure, but I don't know. And maybe this is just my rant, but I see so many people hating on the Chiefs, and mind you, I hate the Chiefs too. They beat the Texans all the time. But at the end of the day, I'm a big dynasty guy.
Yeah.
I love dynasties, and so I love being able to tell my kids 15, 10, 20 years from now, yeah, I watched these guys have dominance. Y'all get to talk about the Cowboys. I want to be able to talk about the Chiefs in that way when I get older. And same thing why, the Warriors run. People wanted the Warriors run to end so bad. When they got KD, I was like, yes,
Yeah.
keep the run going.
I agree. So, can I slip in a Cowboy comment here real quick?
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a lot being talked about this three-peat, right?
Yes, sir.
You think Jerry Jones ever sits around going,
Hey.
if I just hadn't been so stupid, we'd have had 4 in a row and nobody be talking about this three-peat.
Yes, you would have.
Look, Jimmy Johnson's not gone. They don't remember that year they didn't win it. That Barry Switcher's first year, they got down 21-0 in San Francisco. That first of all, they wouldn't have been on the road. If Jimmy Johnson still been there, they'd have been playing a home game. And there's no way they don't make that. I just. Sorry.
No.
Just bitter.
No, you're right. No, you're right.
I try not to become a bitter Cowboys fan all the time, but that's okay. We can start.
He took me back. I am not a Cowboys fan, but man, all that imagery, you took me right back there, and you're right. Because I can remember, because it was there for us. We would have had, we could have had a four-peat. We could have had a four-peat person. Corey, you did the segue into the next one. So I just want to say, before we get to that, because it sounds like you're picking Chiefs, Corey said something, and I've been hearing a lot of it. Everyone's saying the referees. And I know you're a Texans fan over there, Jamal. I know you like them Texans. You from Houston. So I just got to say this to you, Corey, before we get to everybody else's on Kansas City's next game. Bruh, there's 8 sacks on C.J. Stroud. Like, you can't blame the refs for that. So I want to know, with me saying that, what's your take? Do you feel like that whistle affected that game like that?
Did it affect it? Yes. You can't say it didn't affect it because on that the roughing the passer call where Patrick just dropped, not the one on Will Anderson, which I think was a roughing the passer. I mean, he had a helmet.
Yeah, they did hit.
It was contact with the helmet. So I know it sucks. I hate to see it. It wasn't like forceful contact, but it was still contact.
Yes, sir.
So I'm more so concerned with the one where he just dropped. And it wasn't a slide. He just dropped down to the ground. And they didn't even hit his helmet.
But it was feet first.
But it's not a slide though.
Eh.
He just dropped. I mean, come on, he just dropped.
He's giving himself up.
But either way,
first.
they didn't make contact with his helmet. So they made contact with them with each other.
They did.
But they didn't touch Patrick. And so that was another thing. I'm like, And that drive led to a touchdown. So, I said last week, if you get over 17, that's where I worry for the Texans.
You did.
And so they scored, 20?
23-14.
Take that touchdown away. What are we looking at? 16. So I'm saying, yes, I'm not blaming the refs, but you can't say that drive specifically didn't impact the game after that call because they go down and score a touchdown.
Yeah.
And, devil's advocate, of course, you can't kick a field goal from 55 yards out knowing Fairbairn's been struggling. Can't miss an extra point. You can't have 8 sacks. So, yes, there's also reasonings why you did lose the game. It's not like you played perfectly and flawlessly and the refs screwed you over. It's like, no, you had mistakes too as a Texans fan. So, I think there's tells on both sides.
I got something to say about that game too. Yeah, I don't know if you remember, I wrote something
you
down.
wrote down.
And I was close. I literally had Texans don't score more than 16. That one hit. And then it said Chiefs win by 10, but what's his name just decided to run back and get a safety, But
Which that was weird.
very weird.
I didn't know.
I think he bet it on the game because that prop was like they don't score 12. I think it was at 12. They don't score more than 12 points during that game, and he ran back in. Yeah, that thing went up to 14. So yeah, but I was close, Corey. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I forgot what the conversation was about, but I know I just said that if the Chiefs score more than 17, it's wraps for the Texans.
I know. I think you were saying if the Texans score 17, they can possibly win.
Yeah, that's
more than
No, I was
17.
saying if the Chiefs score more than 17. I was saying that was the line for the game.
Well, both things happened.
Yeah, yeah.
So then, Travis,
Because Texans couldn't
Bills,
score over 17.
Chiefs in Kansas City. It's going to be 33 degrees. But, it's Buffalo, so I don't even know if I
That's
need
so
to add that
cold.
part.
Yeah. So I don't pick against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes. I like this Buffalo team. I think they quote unquote deserve to get a shot at a Super Bowl, but they got to get through Kansas City, and I just can't pick against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
5-4 on the road today. This year, today, for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
5-4 on the road. And you got to go to Kansas City.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I mean,
Doesn't look that good.
I'm rooting for this three-peat. Not gonna lie, since I've never seen him before.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I'm
But,
trying to see the
like,
3P.
Okay.
But,
So I think we're all on the Kansas City juice over here. I'm on the Swifties juice, and you don't lose a conference championship while Swift is up in. So that's what's happening. That's what's happening. She gonna go 3-0.
She's not listening, Douglas.
She's not.
No.
You sure she? Everybody got a house here in Austin.
Now, I will say this. If the Chiefs and Commanders win, Washington has no shot.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw that out there.
Whoa.
They have no shot.
Where's the Super Bowl? It's in New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
On the Superdome?
Yeah. Remember Kendrick Lamar is gonna be there.
Yeah. Well, instead of way.
Yeah.
Anywho. Yeah, you're probably right.
Wait, I'm so curious. Why, Corey, wouldn't you give the command? Because I think you were going with Philly.
Yeah, I'm going
So
Philly.
if they already do something that you don't think they can do just to make it to the Super Bowl, you don't give them any shot. They done made it. They took out the number one.
Yeah.
They took out Jaden Daniels, a 14-3 team who only lost one game at home this year.
Yeah.
And so they went in there and beat them at home.
Yeah, they take out. Well, look, if you look at the road, not saying none of these teams are good, but you look at the road, they beat the Buccaneers, who were struggling to win the NFC South. So let's just throw that out there. NFC South is not a good division. They barely won it. Then you beat a team in Detroit who we've all said they're a great team, but that defense, sooner or later,
That defense just gave
the
out.
injuries are going to pick up.
Yes.
I feel that's the worst part for Detroit is we talked about how that defense shouldn't be playing that well.
Yeah.
Until the game where they didn't play that well.
And it mattered the most.
Exactly.
And so you beat the Detroit team that was depleted. All right? Now it's still Detroit, but they were depleted. You still got to be realistic. And then let's say they beat Philly this weekend. What have I been saying all year?
You've never seen a team with locker room issues make it all the way. So eventually that's going to catch up, whether it be in the Super Bowl or whether it be this week. And so to me, they would have something every week that is like, okay, they beat these teams, but they're not the Chiefs,
Yeah.
you know, and the Chiefs are healthy. The Chiefs are well experienced compared to a rookie quarterback. And I more so say that because of Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs. Him being able to game plan for a rookie quarterback, oh man, I know he's going to draw up something crazy, you know. And so I like Jaden Daniels a lot. I really do. I think he's going to be one of the greatest quarterbacks in this league in the next couple of years. Okay. But when you're going against a rookie quarterback compared to a guy like Patrick Mahomes on the other side that has so much experience, I would take Chiefs all day. I'm surprised. I will be surprised if that spread isn't more than 5 points for the Super Bowl if that's the case. But when it comes to the Eagles, it's more so like revenge factor, right? And it's like, okay, a lot of these guys were on that team that lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So I would see how big that spread is, knowing that you also add Saquon to the roster that lost to the Chiefs a couple years ago. And I just think that would be an enticing matchup just to get that lick back for Philly.
Facts. But the Chiefs know how to dethrone amazing rosters. We saw it happen last year.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, for sure. So, I mean, look, either matchup with the Chiefs in it, I like it. You know, I don't know what it is about the Bills just aren't, like, entertaining football to me. You know, Josh Allen is dope, but especially the way they win isn't, like, flashy.
Well, to your point, they shouldn't have. It at least should have gone to overtime. I think Baltimore would have scored that drive that Mark Andrews fumbled it.
Me too.
That's a different score. And then who knows what would have happened in overtime. But I thought Baltimore had the momentum. And look, this is that's why you play the game. But if there was an ugly win, that was the ugliest win. Buffalo should not feel that strong coming out. But they made it to the conference championship.
Yeah. And now they get a chance to play their hated rivals. So I'm excited for this weekend. Should be a lot of good games coming up. Interested to see how this all plays out. And look, I want the Commanders to win. I do. I just don't think they will. So
Travis, we talked about it off air, so I want to bring it to air. Mark Andrews, that was one of the worst games on live television I can remember.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen, because he had two big plays.
yeah.
Most people have one. You brought one. I was going to tell you Leon Lett was the one for me, because Don Beebe ran him down, and that was a big one to me. That was a big gaffe.
And Leon Lett had two. He had the snow game on Thanksgiving as well, where the Cowboys blocked a field goal, and then he went and touched the ball and gave who were they playing? Was it Washington? Can't remember who they were playing.
But 2-in-1 game.
Yes.
That was so big. So I'm just kind of curious for all you guys. Have y'all ever had a moment like that? Like our track guys. Have y'all ever dropped a baton on a relay?
Yep.
Whoa.
High school. But it's okay. I made up for it at
Okay.
state. But yeah.
Corey, you ever had a
Nah.
moment?
Nah, I didn't really do a lot of team events
Okay.
except for like the 4x8, which you just gotta get the baton off. There's no like,
Okay.
just turn around and grab the stick. Like, don't mess it up.
Travis,
Yeah, I have.
did you whiff on a block or?
No, in basketball, we were up one with like, I don't know, 8 seconds left in the game, something like that, and so we were still in full court press mode, and my guy was out at half court, and I was like 3 or 4 steps behind him, right? So that way, if they try to throw the long ball down the court, I feel like but I got caught flat-footed, and he blew by me, and they threw it, caught it over the shoulder.
Oh my God! Perfect pass.
Perfect pass,
catch.
went up, scored, and then we missed the last second shot, so we got beat because I got caught flat-footed. Yeah.
So for you two, did your teammates pick you up? How'd y'all feel about that? Do y'all remember that feeling? What brought y'all back? Because I got to know what's going to happen to Mark Andrews.
Well,
I mean, you
What
got
y'all
to,
say?
right?
Yeah.
they picked me up. Well, they were mad for like a split second.
Okay.
But then they realized that, okay, we can make up for this. So
Okay.
I made up for it.
Yeah, I mean that's same with me. It was everyone was like, well, everyone was first of all, everyone was just shocked that I was the one that made the mistake. 'Cause I'm like, I was just the guy that did everything because I wasn't as athletic as anybody else, right?
Right.
I just had to be perfect in everything I did, and so it wasn't like me to make a mistake like that. Like I got caught asleep. And it wasn't like me to get cut. So everyone was just in shock that, anybody else could have made that mistake, but Travis never makes that mistake. And they all picked me up afterward. It was fine the next day.
Before we go, I just want to get your thoughts, Travis. I know last week we talked about the coaching search, and I mentioned if you hear the name Aaron Glenn after hearing the name Deion Sanders, y'all going to be disappointed. Well, it may be worse than Aaron Glenn. Schottenheimer.
Yeah.
So to that point again, you hear the name Deion Sanders, you hear all these names thrown out there, and you may end up with Schottenheimer.
Yeah.
Disappointment?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I'm saying. We all knew this was coming, right?
Yeah. No, so, can I say that as a Cowboy, I'm going to go into Cowboy fan mode here?
Yes.
What I'm hoping is that this is some sort of smokescreen, and that Jerry's waiting for, he's just. Like, there's only 2 openings left. It's them and the Saints.
Yeah.
So now there's not necessarily a rush. Mm-hmm. And so maybe he's waiting to actually have Cliff Kingsbury come in or have, I don't know who else. But it looks and sounds like Schottenheimer's their guy.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just hoping it's not.
For the young guys, I'm want y'all to Google this. Get me Deion. I don't care what it takes. Get me Deion. That was my Jerry Jones impersonation. He's on a jet talking into a phone. Y'all can laugh at how the phones looked back in those days. And do you remember that? They played the Dallas theme song. The music in the background was a Nike commercial. And that's where I'm at. Get him Deion.
Yeah.
That's what he needs.
He's not coming.
All right, we need to get out of here. We'll see everybody next week here on the Fans View, KAZI.